Hello everyone. This is a tutorial that looks at the portal and submission of your assignment in Social Work 205. So what I am going to be going over is each one of the areas that you need to familiarize yourself with in completing and uploading your assignments for Social Work 205. First, we want to start with the Getting Started page. The Getting Started page is where I placed a lot of handout information for you. As you can see in the first part of it, you have my name, my contact information, phone number to include email address. Below that, you have the welcome letter that I did for Social Work 205. And what I've done here is submit also a sample posting for your discussion assignment, where you can see under the discussion question, it's a question there. And when you look at the initial response, it says in accordance with NESW 1996, which is a support of what you're going to be placing in your discussion post. So this post was referenced by the NESW Code of Ethics 1996, and it took a look at section 1.9, sexual relationship under the Code of Ethics. And you can see that it also talks about Reamer, which is 2011 on page 47, because it's a direct quote that look at former clients may still view social work as an authority figure. So that's a quote from that particular reference, which would be a peer-reviewed article reference. So when you post your initial post, you need to ensure that you reference this discussion post. If you don't, you will lose points. I can guarantee that. In response to, after posting your post on Thursday, you have to respond to your peers' posting. And so you need to be responding to at least two of your peers posting. And you can see here where there's an example of how to do that. In other words, it's a response and you're saying hi, whoever the person that you post you're responding to, you identify them by name. And you can see that you said that I agree with your response, that this is unethical. And then it talks about that it could also be taken as a violation of section 1.6, which is conflict of interest under the Code of Ethics for 1996. So in other words, this particular sample posting basically support with a reference, a documentation that support the post to include support the response to the peers. So when I look at your discussion post, in your response to your peers, I should be seeing a citing for your initial response, and I should see a reference citing for your response to your peers. I can guarantee you if you fail to do this, you will lose points. Below that, I have the discussion rubrics. If you click on that link, it'll tell you how I will be grading your discussion rubric. So all you have to do is click on that and look at how I'm going to be awarding points. In addition to that, I have a sample of your reflection paper, which is basically you're going to be submitting the last week in Unit 8 of this assignment, and I'll show you where you're going to be submitting that. So take some time and print that out. Look at how they respond to the reflection in the sample, because they addressed all the questions that I asked of you under that assignment, and you need to do so also. I also provided you with a biopsychosocial paper. It's a sample paper. I must remind you now, this is not an A paper, so don't think if you follow this paper that you will come out with an A, because there are some errors in writing this paper, which this person lost some points. So what I'm trying to say to you, follow the format and the way the paper is structured, and that will help you with completing the biopsychosocial spirituality assessment and addressing the 6 question areas that was in your syllabus. I also provided you with the Code of Ethics for the NSWA, and I also provided you with the South Carolina Code of Ethics. So that's two references that you can use to respond to your ethical questions and to respond to your informal assignment. So just be mindful to print those out, save it. If you're a social work student and you're taking this as a part of your degree, I recommend that you print it out and put it in a binder and save it for later, because you will be utilizing the Code of Ethics throughout your program. Below that, I have what we call an APA handout, where I provided you with some links to Purdue OWL. I also provided you with some library instructions, resources, some information about Safe Assign, some information about quick reference guide, and then again a Blackboard student tutorial to help you with maneuvering through Blackboard. Of course, the next link links all of the course policies. Before, I told you in your syllabus we did not have the behavioral policy information, but you should be able to find that at this link. And below that, basically, is the course coordinator information. This is the person who laid out the information that you're receiving in this course. In other words, all the assignments that are in Blackboard, the textbook, to include your discussion questions. As we go back up, the next criteria is the syllabus. So when you click on that, you can print out your syllabus and actually submit, well, at least put your syllabus in a binder so that you can follow it through each one of the unit assignments. That way you'll have your syllabus on hand. From time to time, students have always asked me, when is the midterm exam? When is the final exam? When is my paper due? I always redirect them back to their syllabus, because it's going to tell them all of that information. Below that, you have the link for papers and projects. So I'm going to click on this link because I want you to see basically what's under this particular link. So when I click on it, it's going to take me to the assignments. So you see, remember I told you that your first assignment in the syllabus under Unit 4 is due, where you're going to answer the first 3 questions of your biopsychosocial spirituality assessment. So you can see it's numbered 1 through 3. Those are the first part of your paper that you're going to be responding to and answer, and you're going to be submitting that response under the papers and projects section on the date that it's due. And I gave you the due date that was in your syllabus. The second part of the assignment of your paper is under Unit 6, and that's where you're going to complete sections 4 and 5. Again, be mindful that this particular assignment won't be viewable to you until after September the 24th. So you will see this on the 25th of September. And I think this particular assignment under the syllabus is due by the 12th of October. So here again, you want to make sure that you answer only 4 and 5. In the beginning, I told you that you're going to do Unit 4, you're going to answer questions 1 through 3. And then when you get to Unit 6, you're going to be submitting 4 and 5 to me. Do not submit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to me, because I'm only going to be looking at 4 and 5, because I have already looked at 1 through 3. So you won't get a second look at 1 through 3 until you submit your final paper. So here again, when you submit it under Unit 6, you're only going to be addressing the questions under Section 4 and 5. And that's basically discussing any socioeconomic issues that may have been presented. Was the family above or below poverty level? And did this affect the development? Basically, here again, you're going to support your answer with references. And then you're going to also answer how you handle stress. You're going to describe a stressful situation in your life. Some of you are already supervisors. Some of you are not. You can handle a stressful situation with your child. an adolescent, or a relative. You just want to talk about how you resolved it and was it a positive outcome. So you're going to be addressing that in 4 and 5. So basically, you're only going to be responding to that. And then in Unit 7, I talked about you're going to be submitting your PowerPoint presentation. And all of these assignments that I'm talking about right now is listed under Papers and Project when I clicked on the link. So this is where you're going to submit your PowerPoint presentation. In your syllabus under the course outline, it will give you the date that you need to submit it. And then in Unit 8, so by then you should have already had 1 through 3 done. You should have already made your corrections to 4 and 5. So the only thing you're going to have in your final paper project is basically 6. You're going to be responding to 6 in your final paper. So in your final paper, which is due on the 19th, you're going to be submitting to me basically 1 through 6. This is where I'm going to get your whole completed project. So when I make the corrections in 1 through 3, you're going to go back to your initial paper, make the changes that you need to make. Then you're going to look at what you submitted in 4 and 5, and you're going to make the changes that I say you should make. And you're going to have 1 through 5 already ready to go. So the only thing you're going to be responding the last day of class is question number 6. Okay, there was some discussion during class that looked at what's the requirement. So each student will complete a 5 to 7 page paper utilizing APA 6th edition format, and you're going to format a biopsychosocial spirituality assessment on yourself. So in other words, you're going to be doing this particular paper on you. You're going to be looking at what was your childhood like, what kind of milestones you made, when you made it, and when you start addressing these areas. And then it says the paper must include a minimum of 2 non-web based research articles. So in other words, you're going to have 2 peer review articles, and then you're going to have 2 articles that could be from WebMD or whatever. So if you're used to Googling your article, your research, you're going to find that you're going to get some articles that don't have references at the end. So you're going to have 2 non-based research articles, okay? It must contain at least 2 non-based research articles. When I say non-based, I'm talking about your peer review articles, okay? And then the finished product will be considered a formal writing submission for this class. In other words, you're going to be responding, giving me all of the 6 criterias to conclude. You're going to write a conclusion and submit your final product. So here again, this is the complete example of your paper. And all of these particular assignments will be submitted under the Papers and Projects section. So now let's move over to the discussion section, and I'm going to click on discussion because this is where you're going to be submitting your discussion assignments. Okay, under discussion, you can see that you have 8 discussion assignments that you're going to have to complete. So in other words, you should already be looking at discussion 1 assignment now because that was open to you before the beginning of the class. You should be posting your initial response to this discussion by Thursday. In other words, tomorrow you should already have already submitted this particular assignment, your initial post, and then you have, of course, till Sunday to respond to 2 of your peers. So just make sure that you do your particular post on Thursday, and then respond to 2 of your peers on Sunday. Students always ask me, do I have to do it on Thursday? No, you do not have to do it on Thursday, but you have to have your particular post done by Sunday at 11:59 to include 2 responses to 2 of your peers by Sunday. I recommend that you do not wait till Sunday to do that because you're going to also have some other assignments in this course that's going to also be due on Sunday. So if you're going to get ahead of the game, then I recommend that you actually post your post by Thursday. Now, discussion 2 when you do your final posting on Unit 1, Discussion 2 will also open up on Sunday. So Unit 1 will close on Sunday, and Unit 2 will open up on Sunday at 11:59, after 11:59. So that's where you're going to have your assignment that's due for Unit 2, in which your response will be due on that Thursday. So as a unit closes, another unit will open up. So you will not get to look at all of the assignment at one time. They will open up weekly for you. Now, does that mean that you can't work ahead? Yes, you can go to discussion. You can see that I gave you the assignment for each one of these discussion. So if you are doing Unit 1 and you want to complete Unit 2, you can look at Unit 2 where the assignment is say after completing the assignment for this unit, describe the process of using the hierarchy ethical principles. What was it difficult for you? Do you have value conflicts? Basically. And so this assignment is already here for you to review. But, if you want to wait until we go over it in class, that's fine. Just know that Sunday it opens up. On Tuesday, I can address any question that you may have regarding that particular assignment during week 2 on that Tuesday or Thursday. Just be mindful that your post should be done on that Thursday. So as Unit 2 closes, you'll find that Unit 3 discussion will open, and so forth and so on. So as you get through each one of them, as one closes, the other will open. Okay, now that we talked about the discussions, we already talked about the papers and projects. I'm going to click on the test quizzes, okay? Tests and quizzes. When you click on this link, by now, each of you should have already completed the pre-test. In the pre-test, you'll find that it's a pre-test about this particular course. I don't expect you to know the answers to all the questions, so feel free to guess. But at the end of the course, you're going to have a post-test, and by that time, we would have already covered the questions that you may have addressed during this time. What I recommend to students that they sometime print the questions for the pre-test, because the same questions in the pre-test will also be the same questions for the post-test. When we went over the syllabus, I talked to you about the midterm. I told you midterm was due on the 21st of September. So this particular assignment basically won't open up to you until the 21st. And even if it's open up to you, it's password protected. So you still can't access the test until I provide your proctor, if you're at a different site, the password, or if you're taking it in the testing center in the Charleston area where I type in the password. So just be mindful that your midterm is on the 21st, and you will go under tests and quizzes to access this. Your final is due the last day of class, which is the 19th of October, which you will be it'll be a proctored exam, or it'll be an exam issued by me in the testing center. So for those of you who are at a different site, you need to provide me with the name, phone number, and email address of your proctor so that I can email them the password and information about when your test is due and when should it be completed. Your job is to schedule an appointment with your test proctor if you're at a different site before September 21st to take your exam. If you are at the Charleston site, then the only thing you have to do is show up the day of class on the 21st in the testing center, and I will be there to administer your exam. Okay, I'm going to move on to the course outline by unit. Remember, students should be reviewing all the information in the Getting Started page, taking a look at the sample copy of the biopsychosocial assessment, looking at the reflection paper sample, reviewing the rubrics for the discussions. So by now, you should have already did this. If not, then you need to do this. Also, I talked about where the syllabus is located. I discussed all the assignments under papers and projects. I show you where you're going to be uploading information for your discussion. And we took a look at the tests and quizzes to identify the pre-test, the post-test, your midterm exam, and your final exam. So now we're going to the course outline by unit. As you click on Unit 1, you'll see that it lists all the assignments that's required of you under Unit 1. You should have reviewed the syllabus, took a look at the library resources, review the APA format for 6th edition, read Chapter 1, pages 1 through 61, and it says complete the Mind Tap assignment. Students do not have to do this in 205, and the reason you don't have to do this is that I will email you, a study guide for the midterm and final. Remember, 205 is going to cover the first part of your textbook, taking a look at chapters 1 through 8. So you will have testing information in all 8 chapters. So I will be emailing you things you need to know for chapter 1, what you need to know for chapter 2, so forth and so on. Again, you do not have to complete the Mind Tap assignment. The Mind Tap assignments basically is quizzes that you can take to help you take the final and the midterm exam. I'm going to provide you with a study guide for that, so you do not have to do that. You must read and discuss the highlights on 1.7 on page 21, basically for this particular assignment. And then you have a discussion question that you have to complete under Unit 1. And you see where you have Chapter 1 Mind Tap. Again, just ignore that. You have the PowerPoints for Chapter 1 under Unit 1 for this particular course. In addition to that, you have your discussion questions there. You will not be submitting this assignment under Unit 1. Your discussion should be submitted under the discussion section for that particular unit. And basically, your highlights discussion basically is something we're going to talk about during class. As we go to Unit 2, here again, it lays out the discussions that assignments that you need to be considering in Unit 2. Read and discuss Chapter 2, Biological Development and Infancy and Childhood. That's where you're going to find information about Erickson, Piaget, and some of the other theories as they look at stages of development. And then you have your PowerPoint for Chapter 2. You're going to ignore the Mind Tap again. And then you have your first assignment under Unit 2, which is an ethical question. In the beginning, on the Get It Started page, I show you some information I provided that address basically the Code of Ethics, where I provided you with the NSW Code of Ethics to include providing you with the South Carolina Ethical Standards. Here again, under Unit 2, you have your highlight for 2.5, which is an informal assignment in Blackboard. And I gave you the due date for that particular assignment also when we went over your syllabi. And so you should find the date when this assignment should be submitted to you too. Now, this particular assignment won't be submitted in this area. Again, you're going to find this particular assignment submitted under papers and projects. And then you have your ethical dilemma discussion that you're going to basically complete. And so you want to make sure that you respond to this under the discussion section so it'll show up in the grade book. Remember, all discussions are due by your initial post on Thursday and responding to 2 of your peers by Sunday. As we look at Unit 3, here again, it lays out the same thing. So as you look at each one of the unit, it tells you what you should be doing in each one of the units by week. So when we get to week 3, you're going to look at Unit 3 to see what your assignments are. Be mindful that all assignments should be submitted under papers project. The discussions, when you get ready to take your test or quiz, you should be doing that under tests and quizzes. The unit breakdown that lets you know everything that should be completed that particular week. But you won't be submitting anything in that. Now, some students, when they miss an assignment, so if you forget to submit an assignment under papers and project, well, that assignment is also listed under the units. So if you input that assignment under units because you're late with it, I will not see that because it won't show up in gradebook. It will only show up as needing graded. So here again, this is not an escape for you to say, I missed that assignment, but I'll go to discussion and just post it under the unit. Because when you click on that, it'll give you that access, but what you'll find that it won't transfer over the gradebook for me to grade it. So here again, see right here, this is what is left. You can input it, but it won't go in the gradebook because you won't be able to see any of your peers posting there either. So just be mindful of that. Under Unit 4, here again, it lists everything that you should have. You see you have an assignment quiz that you have to do. So if it's not a Mind Tap assignment, which is not, this particular assignment quiz you have to do. So what this says, basically, these are related to systems theory concept. If you have read the chapter, basically it should be easier for you to do it. But let me remind you that you won't understand any of this if you're not reading the chapters in the book. So here again, it's very important that you read the chapters in the book to have a thorough understanding. Now, I will be going over the chapters in the classroom setting, but don't sit back and say, well, Dr. Dickerson will cover all the information that I need to know. Because when I go through the chapters, there are going to be parts of the chapters that I may not touch, but you will always, you may also be responsible for the testing material of it. So here again, it's very important that you read the chapters. So under each unit, it's going to lay out what's required of that week. By now, all of you should be familiarized with announcements. There are times, so when I send you information about your midterm exam, I would email it to you, but I also put an announcement out that I have provided students with information regarding their midterm exam. So always read your announcements as you enter into the course room, because I may have provided you with some information. I might have provided you with an area that you may not have to complete an assignment. So it's very important that you read your announcements under this and that you read your emails, because if I respond to you, I'm going to respond to you either by email or by announcements. Also, be reminded when you start looking at your grades, you may show that you have completed 5 of your assignments and your grade point average is a 98 point whatever. That's for the assignments that have been completed so far. It won't be consist of assignments that basically still need to be completed. So in other words, if you have some assignment missing, well, that GPA will drop if I put zeros there. So just don't look at your grades and say, okay, I have a 98, so I can skip this assignment. It's very important that you complete all your assignments if you expect to get an A out of this particular class. Here again, I give students what they earn, not what they expect. So I expect you to complete all the assignments. I will be grading all of your assignments by the criteria that's laid out in the course. That concludes what I have as far as the portal and submitting your assignments through Blackboard. Your syllabus should tell you when things are due. It should give you an idea of when you need to be submitting your assignments. If you have any questions about anything I discussed in this video, please write them down and we can talk about that discussion on Thursday. I will make sure that you get copies of this video today via email. So here again, if you have any questions, just write it down and we can talk about it during class session.